that's what spurred this idea. Ow. So that's kind of what spurred, hold on. Is it even like, and like it's not even like pure erotica either, considering that like blah, 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 blah. It gave me those hating game, or yeah, the hating game feelings. Sorry, let me try all that again. Don't forget to give it a big ow. Great, now my headache's worse. Hello everybody, my name is Kelsey and we're about to get very, very nerdy with some office romances. So, like many of you humans out there on the internet, I became obsessed with The Hating Game. I read that book, I think last year sometime, if I'm correct, and just kind of like fell in love with it. And I know there was a movie adaptation of it that came out relatively recently, and it finally came to Hulu, so I was able to watch it. I didn't feel like paying for it. I was just going to wait until it came to like a service I was already paying for instead of just like paying extra to watch it. So I watched it a couple of weeks ago at the end of April, and I was like, oh, I am now kind of obsessed with this book again, and I really want to read things like it. And so then I got a pre-order in the mail that's kind of like an office romance, which spurred this entire idea. So this vlog is going to be kind of like a themed TBR, secret TBR of sorts, and I am going to read office romances, 3 specifically. So I have 2 by the same author, but they're very different story-wise as well as like chronologically when it was written. Like one was written relatively early in their career and one was written relatively later in their career. But the one that really spurred this entire idea was I Love You, I Hate You by Elizabeth Davis. This is a, not necessarily office romance. I mean, not all of these are office romances, but they are like office slash coworker romance. And this follows 2 rival lawyers who are working on the same case. I don't know what the case is, it doesn't say, but they're working on the same case and they really, really don't like each other. And then on like the flip side of that, they are different personas online, and these online personas are actually like friends. And so it's them hating each other in real life and falling for each other online. And I'm sure they'll find out that they're actually both. I don't know if that made any sense, but I'm very interested to see. But this was in the Barnes & Noble like pre-order sale, and it looked interesting, and it came in the mail end of last month, beginning of this month. So I am very interested in it. So that's kind of what like spurred this idea. And then I was looking at my shelves and I realized I do actually have other office kind of romances. So the other 2 are actually by Christina Lauren. So the first one that I'm gonna read in this vlog is actually Beautiful Bastards, and this is part of their, I think it's just called the Beautiful Bastards series, and it's a CEO or executive, sorry, a perfectionist executive and an ambitious intern, and I think it's their relationship. I don't know much beyond that, but I do love Christina Lauren, and this is a very much a love or hate series or book. Like the reviews I've seen are people who talk about it either absolutely adore it or absolutely despise it. So I'm curious to see where I will fall. And I know this is like the first in a very long series, and it kind of gets crazy, but I think this is relatively early in their writing career. It came out in 2013. So I'm interested to see what I think of it, but I think I'm going to start the video with this one. And then the other one by Christina Lauren is Dating You, Hating You, and this one follows 2 people who are like vying for the same job, so very much similar to Hating Game. And this one came out in, if I can find it, 2017. So was that 5 years, 4 years difference? But this one is very much like a, this just reminds me of The Hating Game as far as like the plot goes. Yeah, it says right here that there are two agencies that merge, and it's the 2 of them vying for this position. So it's Carter and Evie, and I don't know exactly what they do, but I'm assuming it's set in like Hollywood or something like that. So yes, Hollywood right there. So I'm sure it's like a talent agency of sorts. Those are the 3 that I'm planning on reading for this vlog. I'm not sure how long it's going to take for me to actually like read all of them, but I'm very excited about it. So I know for a fact, like I mentioned, we're going to start off with Beautiful Bastards. I just really want to know what this series is all about. Like, I've thought about picking up other things in this series, but I've never been able to find them at like my used bookstore, so I'll have to buy them like new, which is fine, but I'd like to read the first one to see if it's actually something I'd like to continue. So I will start this one and come back to you when I've started it and what my like initial thoughts on it is. I'm excited. I'm really excited about this video. I think it's gonna be interesting because like while they're all office slash coworker romances, they're all so different. I think this is gonna be a lot of fun. So stay tuned. I'll let you know.
I fall asleep, yeah, I need you with me by my side. It's all I know now.
Hello, I have updates for you. So I have started Beautiful Bastards. I think according to like my audiobook and stuff, I'm like 30% of the way through, so 116 pages, so right about there. Yeah, that's a little over 30 maybe. I'm obsessed with this book. So right off the bat, I was getting the hating game vibes. Like, there is significant banter and verbal sparring between our main two characters, which is the executive and his intern slash assistant. I mean, she's his assistant. She's getting paid to be his assistant, but she's also an intern and she's in a program to get an MBA in business. And part of that is an internship, and this is her internship and doing something with the company. I'm not entirely sure what this company does though. They're Ryan Media because like Ryan's their last name. And so our main guy is Bennett Ryan. And he has been working in France, and he came over back to Chicago to kind of work at this company. And our main character, Chloe, has been working at this company for quite a while. She worked for his dad. She knows his entire family. They're like really, really close, but she doesn't really know him. And so she's kind of been tasked to be his assistant because he'll give her a lot of like really good information. She'll work out a lot of really good projects that'll like help her career and her internship. So like his dad, I think, is the one who's like, hey, here's my son, you should probably apply for this internship. And so she does, and then like he's kind of an asshole from day one. So that's the whole thing with the two of them. There's that banter kind of relationship, but significantly more smutty. Like in the first chapter, right away, out of the gate, things are happening. I'm obsessed with this book because there's still like a lot of those like smutty, sexy scenes that I do enjoy, but there's a plot with it. We're seeing our two characters. I'm very in love with them. I don't know if I believe them as a couple yet, because like they're not really a couple yet to where I'm at, and I'm not sure where they're going to get, because this is the first in a quite long series. I'm not sure how many are in it, but I want to say like 6, 7 maybe more than that. I'm not 100% sure. And this is just the first one in it. Now I know that this one was a fanfic, like an online fanfic that was turned into a book. So I'm wondering if this was their first work. I'm not sure. But I could see myself getting sucked in very, very quickly. But I'm curious what this series is going to follow. Like, is it going to follow our main couple throughout the series? Are we going to follow different people that we know from the series? Like her friend who works there, his family who's owned, like, I don't know. But I'm obsessed with this book. Like, I cannot tell you how much I adore this book. Like, if I were to rate this book right now, it would get 5 stars. And there's not really any substance to back it up, except for that, like, I can't stop reading it. Like, is this the most profound book I've ever read? No. And like, it's not pure erotica either, which I could see having its own appeal, but again, like, there's too much plot to this for it to be erotica. It's a romance book, but it's I don't know how to explain this to you, but I loved it, and I'm only a third of the way through. So I'm gonna finish this tomorrow because, like, I was able to read this third in like 2 hours at most, and I'm closing in on halfway. So I'm gonna finish this book tomorrow. There's no way around it. But I just wanted to come here and tell you kind of like my general first reading thoughts. I don't know where the story could go. It's very interesting to me, and I could see myself getting very sucked into this series. Like, I could get very sucked into the series. So I'll have to investigate what the rest of the series follows after I finish this one. I don't want it to spoil anything, but like, I love it. Consensus so far is it is good, and I am excited to keep reading. That was really aggressive, but I'm excited to keep reading.
My soul might touch the ground. I need someone to hold my mind. I need someone to hold my mind. When the sun comes down and when I feel I've drowned, I need someone to hold how I feel. I can show you, baby, one more time. When I fall asleep, yeah, I need you with me by my side. It's all I know now. I need you with me by my side.
Hello. It has been a couple of days, thanks to talk to you, but I have updates. I have all of the updates. So, like I suspected, and like you guys saw, I finished Beautiful Bastard last night. Gave it 5 stars. I mean, can you tell how I tabbed the crap out of this book? I adored this book, and I think it's because it gave me those hating game feelings that like I've been looking for. Like, the reason I started this vlog was because I wanted some of those feelings, and like this is that book. So like, if you are a huge fan of the hating game, then you'll love this book. Now there's significantly more sex in it, like significantly more sex in it, but it's got like all of those feelings, like the tension between our characters, it's there. Our main character in this one reminds me so much of that main character, and I just love their relationship and everything about it. It made me so incredibly happy. I flew through this. So I've done some digging, and there's 4 full-length books in this series, and they each follow different characters within it, and then a bunch of novellas. So I think there is a novella between this one and the second book that continues on from our characters in this one, and then I think the second book follows another girl at this media group, like where these characters work, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. So I would love to invest in all of them, honestly. Like, I've become obsessed, okay? So I adored this book. 5 stars. I don't even know what to say. Like, there's not even like that much substance to it, but like, I adored it, and I still love these characters. Like, I'm not just saying that like this was a smutty book that I was obsessed with, because yes, that is true. But this had still a lot of substance to it. Their relationship was really interesting. I loved seeing kind of the like softening of these characters towards one another, because they both start off the book outright despising each other. So it's really, I loved seeing the two of them together. I don't know if I mentioned at the beginning, but this was a fanfic that was turned into an actual novel. So it was interesting seeing where they were near the beginning of their career. One thing I wish that they had done is each chapter switches back and forth from points of view, and if you're physically reading it, the font changes, and that's how you can tell. But if you're listening to it on the audio, there's no indication. You're just kind of like going along until you see one of them reference somebody else. So you're never sure whose perspective you're in. They're both first-person perspectives, but you're never sure. So I wish that there was a way that they could like put the name at the top of the chapter, or like say it at the beginning of the chapter in the audiobook, because that switch got confusing after a while, and it got confusing because not every single chapter switched. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like, sometimes you'll have two chapters back to back that are both Chloe perspectives, or you'll have two that are both Bennett's perspectives. And it's not just an even back and forth, back and forth. So, like, if you were just having back and forth chapters, then fine, whatever. Don't say who it is. We could figure it out. But because there are some chapters that are the same perspective back to back, I wish they'd done that, because that got a little confusing at times. But honestly, only critique of this book, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of am obsessed with this book. It's now one of my favorites. I love it so much. Yeah, it was really good. So I finished that one, and then I did start I Love You, I Hate You. I've only read the prologue and the first chapter, so I'm less than 20 pages into the book, and I did not do enough digging in this book because I was very startled by the ending, but I read the back of it, and it says it on the back. I just missed it. So it's not anything big, but basically, like, so it follows Victoria and Owen, who are bitter rival lawyers. But they also have these online personas of Nora and Luke, who are both, like, anonymous, and, like, they know that they're talking to someone who's, like, that's not their name, probably. Well, I'm not sure if they don't know that's their name, but, like, they know that they're anonymous. Everything else, and they have this very beautiful, like, friendship of, like, DMs. But this book starts off with the two lawyers having sex, which sets, like, this weird, complicated relationship in motion, because, like, they have been, when I say bitter rivals, I mean bitter rivals since the beginning. But, like, it starts with the two of them. Like, chapter 1 starts with them making out, and I was like, what just happened? And it literally says it, like, right here in the very first paragraph, but I'm an idiot, and I didn't read it. But yeah, so their one-night stand kind of, makes things weird, so I'm very interested to see where we're gonna go. I'm not far enough in to really have any kind of opinion, but I am curious about things, because I love seeing the two of them have this in-person relationship, and then in between you'll see, like, messages between their online personas. Like, for example, here it's like the messages back to back, and same thing with the first chapter as well. So, like, the ends of the chapters have, like, these messages, or they're in the chapters too, now that I'm, like, going through it. But I'm really interested to see that there is this multimedia aspect to it, and it just, I don't know, I'm still very excited. I just need to dive into it. So I have a lot of time tomorrow, because I'll actually be driving tomorrow. We're gonna go up and meet Lauren, actually, so we'll bring you along. I don't know if I'll actually vlog any of it, because we're literally meeting up to watch the Downton movie. So we're gonna go watch Downton and then have dinner. So I'll do a lot of driving, and I think, according to, like, my speed, I have, like, 4 hours of this. So yeah, I'm gonna dive into that one tomorrow, and I'll let you know how it goes. But that's kind of update-wise where I am right now.
need someone to hold my mind. I need someone to hold my mind. When the sun comes down and when I feel I've drowned, I need someone to hold how I feel. I can show you, baby, one more time. When I fall asleep, yeah, I need you with me by my side. It's all I know now. I need you with me by my side. When I fall asleep, by my side. So I need you with me by my side.
Hello! It's a day of the week, a few days later probably. And I have officially finished all of the books I have set out to read in this video. So a couple of nights ago, I think Sunday maybe, I'm not sure, time is meaningless, I have no idea what's going on. I finished I Love You, I Hate You by Elizabeth Davis. I ended up giving this one 3.5, I think is what it ended up being, 3 to 3.5 stars. I liked parts of it. The problem with this book for me was that it was just okay. Like, there wasn't anything that stuck out to me as far as this book. It wasn't like crazy romantic. There weren't any scenes that I was like, oh my god, yes. It felt like a good romance. It felt like a romance that anybody could write. Like, it didn't feel extraordinary, I guess is the way that I'm trying to phrase it. There were some interesting conversations in here. It felt very much like a Pride and Prejudice retelling in the sense that there is a very big economic difference between our main two characters. Our main male lead, Owen, comes from money and has like a crazy big trust fund. His father has lots and lots of money, and because of that, he has opened a practice because his father, well, first off, he opened the practice because his dad hated lawyers, and so he's like, great, I'll be a lawyer to tick my dad off. And so he created this practice that picked cases that were harder to win but were important, because he had the money to do so. So like in his mind it was, well, not a lot of lawyers are going to take these cases because they can't pour tons of money into them, but I can. And so like that's where he comes from. And then on her side, she comes from a teen mom and she's never met her dad, and she came from like a mom who basically like counted coins to survive, and so she comes from that very tough background. So getting a job that pays very well so that she can support herself and her mom is really important to her. So she has this very cushy lawyer job at a big superfood kind of company, but the company is very, I wouldn't want to say corrupt, but like is very sleazy in some of its practices, and she knows that, and she hates that she's working for them, but it pays really, really well so she can have the lifestyle of not having to stress anymore. And he interprets her, she always dresses very nicely because she came from nothing, so she's very, it's important to her that like she puts a lot of effort into her appearance so that people, when she went to law school even, thought that she came from money because like lawyers come from money. So of course she had to like dress the part. So he assumes that she's come from money and she hasn't. So there's a lot of conversation between the two of them, and especially her, because she's been struggling for years about working for this company that she really, really despises. And can she even leave it because she doesn't want to, because like you know, it pays so well. Why would I leave this very cushy job that can support me and my mom for a less paying job that would make me feel better about what I'm doing? So it's the two of them and their relationship. So in the sense of coming from two very different economic backgrounds, that's what I mean when I say it's kind of like a Pride and Prejudice retelling of sorts. It's not, but like that economic aspect that you expect from retellings of PMP is in this. I thought that was really interesting. I liked their relationship. I thought it flowed very nicely. The writing style was very subdued and kind of, you were disconnected from the characters a little bit, even though I'm pretty sure they were in first person. No, it wasn't. It was in third person. I always feel like third person is a little more disconnected than first person, but this one felt like it was happening over there, and I felt like there's a lot of talk about social media and how you can make connections on social media, and I felt like that was, which is fine. I mean, clearly I'm on social media, and like I've met some of my favorite people on social media, but it felt like it was a very heavy-handed topic that the author really, really wanted to talk about, but like hammered it in a little bit too much. So I'm not sure if this is a debut or not. I'm feeling like it might be, but I'd have to double check that. I don't know off the top of my head. There wasn't anything outright bad about this book. Like, I feel like I came into this update saying that it was like not great. It just wasn't super original. There wasn't really anything that stood out. It just felt like a romance. Like any other romance I could pick up. It was good. I enjoyed my time reading it. I'm not sure I'll hold on to it for very long. I'll probably hold on to it for a little bit, mostly because I just pre-ordered it. But like, this will most likely be in my next unhaul. But I did enjoy my time reading it. I do not regret reading it. It was just kind of generally okay. So yeah, I think this one has probably got 3.5 stars. So I finished that one, and then I picked up and finished Dating You, Hating You by Christina Lauren. It's very interesting because like this is very similar to the first. Like, having two books from the same author in this video and this idea is very interesting because you get this. You can see how they've progressed because this book is dual narration as well. But the problem they had with the first book was that they didn't tell you who was doing what, and like at the beginning of each chapter it tells you who says what. But this one was very, very interesting. I really enjoyed it. It ended up getting 4 stars. I like devoured this in one day. So like, if that tells you anything. But this one follows 2 rival agents in Hollywood, and their firms merge, and the boss, her firm is the one that kind of takes over his firm. So her boss is, there's no way to say it except for he's a sexist asshole. Like, he is the worst human being on the face of this planet. And she knows that, and she has to work extra. There's a lot of talk about like sexism in this book, which I found fascinating and I loved reading about, because you get, you know, this guy. So it follows, maybe I should tell you their names. So it follows Cardi and Evie, and Evie's been at this specific agency for I think 10 years at this point, and she keeps getting passed over. I mean, there's not really any kind of promotion, but her boss keeps bringing her in and asking her to kind of like hand out her work to other male coworkers because they're having a hard time, and she messed up like one time and he won't let her live it down. And so he keeps bringing it up, and so she keeps not trying to make a fuss because then she's had to work twice as hard to get where a lot of the guys just got, you know, normally. And so like, you see her having been there forever, and then this guy, Carter, who's literally been doing this for 2 years at the old company, come in and like immediately become this guy's favorite, and the boss basically pits them against each other. And at that point, they'd already had like a really amazing first date. They really, really like each other, and they were afraid of working together, and now their bosses kind of like put them in a competition of sorts. I mean, that's not what he says, but that's what he did. But what I loved about this book is that, which is not something I have read from the books that I've read by Christina Lauren. Like, Christina Lauren is really good at those rom-com feels, and there are some harder hitting books that they have written. I just haven't read them. So this is the first time I got a book that had something else to it. So it was this beautiful conversation of like sexism in the workplace, and like the big thing at the end I was not expecting, because like usually in a romance you get the like climax of the story is there's an issue between the couple, and that's, I mean, yes, but that's not really what happens here. It's totally different, and I loved seeing that. It's a very different look at a romance, I think, because it has all of these tougher subjects and more hard-hitting things in it. And I was really glad, because I was worried that we were just going to have like a sexist boss just thrown in here and it was never going to be addressed. But it was, which I appreciated, because sometimes they just are thrown in there to be annoying and then that's it. But this one really did like address everything. So I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. So out of these 3 books, I mean, obviously Beautiful Bastards was my favorite. It was the most like The Hating Game, which was what I was trying to kind of figure out with these 3, is that was the vibe I wanted. So did these work? So this and feels and characters was most like The Hating Game. Dating You, Hating You was most like it in actual plot, as far as like rival agents for the same role. So I would say either of these are good if you want that Hating Game vibe. This one more than this one, but they both had really good aspects that would lend itself well. This was not anything like The Hating Game, which is fine. Like I said, it was a decent romance. It wasn't anything spectacular, but I'm really glad that I was able to read the books that I did, because I read a pre-order that would have probably taken me a year or 2 to actually get around to, so I'm really glad that I did that. I read 2 books by an author duo that I've been trying to collect all of their books and really dive into their stories. So I'll need to be collecting some more, because I think at this point there's 2 books that I have of theirs that I haven't read yet. And I found a book that gave me those Hating Game feels that I was looking for. So, conclusion to this, I was very excited with this experiment. I'm really happy I was able to read all of these 3 things. If you want Hating Game vibes, I would go for one of these, this one a little bit more. But I did really enjoy my experience reading all of these, and I'm so glad I was able to get kind of this theme TBR that just came up out of nowhere into a vlog and a video. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if there's any other type of themed vlog like this that you would like to see. I just really had this urge to read more books like The Hating Game because I loved it so much. So I went with it. But let me know if you've read any of the books that I've mentioned, what your thoughts on them were. As always, if you have a really good coworker or office romance that you would like to share, like a recommendation, please let me know. It's definitely a genre that I haven't read, or maybe not a genre, but like a situational thing in a book that I haven't read a whole lot of, but I've really, really enjoyed, clearly, what I've read of it. So please let me know any recommendations you have. If you've read these, let me know your thoughts. And if you liked The Hating Game, will you give one of these a try? Let me know. But if you like this video, and I very much hope that you did, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe down below if you'd like to be part of this awesome growing family. I've also got all my social media down there, as well as other fun bookish links, so don't forget to check all of that out, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!